Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher. Please pardon me for a moment as I point this topic in or conversation, discussion, even though no one is here talking with me directly. It's more of a monologue right now. Um, but please bear with me as I only focus this particular topic towards mainly the black male, black men, albeit it is a subject that covers all men of all races and ethnic groups. But I'm talking about the black man because that's what I can relate to the greatest as it relates to many subjects pertaining to black people, struggles, relationships, happiness, life in general, and so forth. So just bear with me and hold on. And of course, anyone watching this video can comment. It doesn't matter, irrespective of race, color, creed, or even gender. I want everyone to respond to this, but I'm focusing on the black man. And this topic is about toxic black masculinity. In other words, the subject of black men being toxic in their disposition, their personality, their character, who they are as men, and as it relates to that toxic masculinity being imposed on and uh, turned on the black woman. Now, I got this subject from a subject that was similar, where black women were basically saying that there are black uh, toxic masculinity found in the black community, and that men have a tendency to misuse their position as the partner in the relationship relating to their companion, female companion in this particular instance. Now, I want to speak to that because I believe that I know something about it. Uh, I'm a black man. I'll say, just for the sake of argument, that I'm an African American man because that's how the European world has pretty much labeled us, and that's what most of us identify with, even though I don't believe that I'm a descendant of any African country, tribe, or otherwise. But for the sake of argument, we'll go with that. We will also go with me being a black man, since that seems to be the narrative all of the time. Black people. So, black toxic masculinity. Now, from what I gathered in this discussion that these ladies were having amongst themselves about black men and their toxic masculinity, they were saying that black men uh, have a tendency, an awful tendency, to abandon their women. If you are a black man, have you ever been accused of this or even done this? Have you ever been in a relationship with a black woman and even maybe children involved, stepchildren or your own biological children, and you just left the woman high and dry? Now, have you also been found in that same relationship policing everything that your woman does, where she doesn't have room to breathe? She can't seemingly even think for herself because you are always scrutinizing every aspect of her life, not allowing her any room to be herself, to enjoy herself, to have a little independence without you constantly hovering over her, making her feel so uncomfortable as if you don't trust her, as if she can't have her own identity, as if you must control every facet, every aspect of her life. Well, I'm going to say two things. If you have done any of this, some of this, hooray for you black men if you've done some of it. And I'm also going to say, which is going to sound a bit contradictory, is shame on you same black men who have overstepped your bounds. You must remember that you are in a relationship with your woman. There are gender roles. The woman has a role to play in the relationship, and the man has a role to play in the relationship. Fundamentally, two distinctively different roles. And if it were not true, then why are there two different genders or sexes? So there stands to reason that something can be offered from the viewpoint and standpoint of a woman in a relationship because she is a woman. And there's something that can be contributed to the relationship from the standpoint of the man in the relationship. We don't think alike exactly. The man has fundamentally a different body structure than a woman. A man has different hormonal changes than a woman. A man has different emotional issues, fundamentally speaking, than a woman, for the most part. A man is able to impregnate the woman, and the woman is capable of carrying a baby to term, complementing one another in a relationship as it relates to children. So, getting back to the man policing the woman, I said I applaud the man to a degree because it is okay in a relationship to have an understanding what your partner is doing in a relationship, but not being overbearing. Your wife, your woman has a right to privacy. And ladies, while I'm talking about it, and guys, while I'm talking about it, men have a right to privacy as well. Neither one should ever interlope on the other one's privacy. Now, despite and regardless of what society has said or latest dictates as to what privacy is really simple. If your wife, for example, or your girl goes to the bathroom to use it and she has to sit on the toilet, she deserves that space. That's her space. Even if she wants to take a shower or a bath by herself, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you are a couple, just because you're married, that you have the right to come into the bathroom when she's using it, taking a shower. Now, that should be something consensual, something that you understand between one another from the very beginning. But just to assume when my wife is taking a shower, I could just go get in a shower with her. I mean, in a relationship, that should be cool. I'm fine with that myself personally. But if your wife is sitting on the toilet and she's using the bathroom, stay out of the bathroom. And the same should be true if a man is using the bathroom. He's in there sitting on the toilet doing number two or standing up urinating. You ladies don't have a right to come in there while he's using the bathroom. You just don't. He deserves to have his privacy as well. Even when one or the other wants to sit down and have some quiet time to themselves, throw some headphones on, listen to some soft music or whatever type of music, or even listen to a lecture. listen to a motivational speech, or read a good book, a Kindle book, or whatever. Everyone deserves to have some peace of mind, or even read the Bible. I'll throw that in there as well. And the space that you should be allowed, no one has the right to intrude upon. Okay, so let me add a little bit more to this policing the woman, because the original subject has to do with the man being toxically masculine, toxic to the point where he's so overbearing in a relationship where his wife, his companion, feels so uncomfortable she becomes unhappy in a relationship. She feels like she can't talk on the phone to a friend without him saying, who is that you're talking to? She can't sit and text uh, a girlfriend, who you texting? She can't leave the house without him saying, where you going? When you going to be back? I'll go with you. Now, I'm pumping the brakes. Listen to what I just said. I'm pumping the brakes. Now I'm going to contradict what I just said. Seemingly contradict. Because it's really not a contradiction. It's something to get you to think. There's nothing wrong with a man asking his wife, his companion, where she's going. There's nothing wrong with a man volunteering to ride with his wife if she wants to go to the grocery store or to the shopping mall or what have you. There's nothing wrong with the man, or you men, asking your companion, your wife, who she's talking to on the phone. There's nothing wrong with you asking her what she's texting, or what she's reading, or what she's listening to. Nothing wrong with it in and of itself. When something becomes wrong with it is when your intentions are coming from a place of grave insecurity. That is when something is wrong with it. To ask a general question, nothing wrong with it. A general and innocent question, nothing wrong with it. That's just common courtesy, respect, communication between you and your companion. But when you are asking the question because you doubt your wife's or girlfriend's sincerity, then that has to be coming from a certain place. I mean, has she ever cheated on you before? And you feel that maybe she's talking to another man, uh, maybe in a potential relationship even, or she's flirting with someone online, on her phone, in her text, these conversations on the phone. Maybe she's going to have some secret meeting or lunch with a guy. These things could be on a man's mind for the most part if she's already cheated, and if it's already known that she has cheated, either being admitted by her or the man knowing that she has legitimately cheated on him. I could see that. But other than there being some prior history of your companion, your wife, your girlfriend cheating on you, if it's never happened and you never had any evidence that it happened, leave your wife, your girlfriend alone and let her have her space. And you all do things together, show love mutually, and do things where you can communicate with one another, look one another in the eyes, and say often, I love you, and mean it. Let it come from the heart. And stop being so sensitive, you guys, and so uncomfortable every move your wife makes or your girlfriend makes, to the point where you push her away. And you may even tempt her to want to go cheat on you because you are overbearing. Maybe you're berating her. Maybe you're putting her down. Maybe you're talking about her in a demeaning fashion, and saying that, you don't trust her and so forth. Sometimes you will drive your companion to cheat on you or to want to be away from you, or get to the point where uh, I'm out shopping or with a girlfriend and I don't want to go home because he's going to ask me where I've been and I don't have any room to breathe. So, guys, back up off your wife, your girlfriend, your companion. Now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on is being abandoned. Not the guy being abandoned in this particular video, but the woman being abandoned. Sometimes, and even oftentimes, in the black community in a relationship, you guys or men will leave their woman, and sometimes children, for someone else. I know this to be true because I know someone personally who did this to his wife and children. He left his wife and his 3 daughters for a younger woman. He never came back home. Now, as I'm sitting here speaking to you, he still does communicate with his wife, many years removed now. This has been 20 years ago, about. But he left, physically left his home, leaving those 3 children with his wife for another young woman, younger woman. True story. So it does happen. So a man that doesn't provide for his family, as the Bible says, the scripture says, he's worse than an infidel. Now, provision is not just simply money, monetary, physical, material. Providing is providing care, emotional stability, care for your companion and your children. Let me tell you something. The hardest job that any human being will ever have in his or her entire life is the raising of another human being, a child. That is the greatest burden that any human being could ever bear, because you are influencing another mind. You are fashioning another human being that's coming into the world. And you must give that new child direction, guidance as to how they are to navigate in this newfound place called Earth. And it's a sensitive matter. It is very important what you share with that child, what you teach this child, what you expose that child to, because it is going to determine the success and or failure of that child, that boy or that girl, once they become an adult. They could live a very upright and prosperous, healthy life, even emotionally healthy, or it could be the opposite. They could live a very destructive life. And the majority of the teaching that children receive, the majority of their education, comes from and should come from home, not the world. The world is just additional. You set the foundation in your home for your children. You lay the groundwork. You teach them morality. You teach them a skill, if you so possess one. You teach them how to love and respect not only themselves, but all human beings. So, guys, if you've ever considered leaving your companion or your children, your family, reconsider and don't do it. Because you will be held accountable by the universe, by the Creator. You never leave your family abandoned. And I'm certain if the shoe was on the other foot, you would not want someone to have abandoned you. No matter how cocky you are, no matter how bad you think you are, No one wants to be left alone. They just don't. We are social creatures. So, why do men abandon women? Sometimes, in the black family, men don't like the conflict. They don't like the fact that women are very emotional creatures. And oftentimes, they tell you how they feel, and they're not very rational when they do it. And the guy's just overwhelmed sometimes, and he just doesn't know how to take a deep breath and just listen and process the information and try to work through it, even through her hormonal changes. He's never been taught. He just simply doesn't have the skill set to do so, and he doesn't want to take the time to learn her in their relationship. So he vacates. He doesn't want to hear nagging, but oftentimes when he's presented with the opportunity to have sex with his companion, he's all in for that. But he doesn't want to deal with her psychologically. He doesn't want to deal with her emotionally. He doesn't want to deal with her on a one-on-one basis when you have to actually talk about the issues of life and what she wants in life and where she should be. And you guys are supposed to be teaching your wives, your women. You're supposed to be teaching them, you know, how to raise the children, giving your companion the tools to help them raise the family adequately. You provide the resources and you provide the information. You protect the house. You protect your family within the house. And you also protect your family emotionally. You must make sure that your wife is emotionally sound. Now, your children as well. You determine how sound your companion is emotionally and your children by virtue of how you interact with them. There are some men who don't know how to talk to a woman. It's always putting her down. It's always, you can't do anything right. And let me say this before I part. I don't believe in the name calling. I don't believe in calling women bitches. I don't believe in calling your woman a whore. I don't believe in calling your woman a slut or any such thing, even if the woman deserves certain terminology being used to identify something that she's done. Be very careful when you do that, because once you express things verbally, you can't take it back. And some of those things cut very, very deep to the core of a human being. And that's a pain that's hard, especially for women, to get rid of. And they carry it oftentimes in a potential future relationship if you're no longer together. And they oftentimes will see all men the same. So she doesn't know oftentimes how to let go of the pain. So every prospective relationship in the future she would find herself in, she's always seeing that new guy, that new man, as the one that's hurt her, as the one who's damaged her. And she never really trusts men the same. So stop talking down to your women. Tell them more that you love them and that you care about them and that you want to be understanding and be understanding. So you can avoid abandoning your wife and even your children if you have any. One of the most terrible things in the world you can do is leave your children with their mother and you just leave the house. There are some extenuating circumstances. Things do happen. She could be cheating on you and you may leave the home. It could be ongoing, something she's doing in that regard, cheating on you with another man, and you leave the home because you don't want to be there because of extenuating circumstances that might cause you to become violent or step outside of your character. So think on these things. So in a nutshell again, you black men that are toxic towards your women, stop doing it and start being more loving to your women, to your woman, to your wife, your girlfriend. And never ever abandon your wife and leave her alone just because you don't want to hear her talking to you, or you don't want to address certain subjects. But she has to be willing to talk as well. It can't be one-sided. It's not a unilateral situation. It is a dialogue that you must have with one another if you really do want your relationship to be as successful as possible. There's no 100% perfect relationships. There's always going to be trials. There's always going to be setbacks. There always are going to be obstacles and roadblocks. But you must learn to navigate and get through them. And you can, but you have to want to. And that's for both of you. This is Brother Teacher. Have a blessed day.